You are now tuned in to the Storm Tracker Podcast.
Yeah, it's the Storm Tracker Podcast. We are back, and Virginia takes a L from Miami in 4 overtimes Saturday. Crazy game, ugly game. It was a snooze fest, but if you stayed until the end, you saw a thrilling end where Jake Garcia ran it right to the pylon for the 2-point conversion, rather, for a 14-12 win. Miami goes into Charlottesville and gets their second ACC win of the season. But Gio, man, it was ugly, man. It was not a good game until, I would say, the end of regulation, the very end of regulation and overtime is when it became compelling drama. But a win is a win. Miami gets back in the win column. Just kind of watching the game. What were your takeaways?
Yeah, so I like the way that Miami's defense had played in this game. I felt like they did pretty good for the most part. So a couple of chunk plays here and there in the pass game. There was kind of a miscue there between Al Blades and DJ Ivy just tripping each other up on a pass play there. But I liked what I saw from Leonard Taylor. Huge game, 4 tackles for loss, sack and a half in this game. I think it probably had to have been his best game yet as a Miami Hurricane. I played a lot of snaps in this game. Actually liked what I saw from Jafari Harvey and especially Nigel Kelly. You know, it's nice to have a freshman defensive end towards the end of the season really starting to get in a groove there. His progress is really starting to show up. I said that during the game, and it's really starting to show. But in terms of the offense, no touchdowns through 4 quarters, and things are getting a little questionable there with the offense. I mean, we've had our questions already this season, but no touchdowns in this game at all. Miami was averaging just about 18 points per game against Power 5 opponents going into this game on offense. That's not good, and especially not scoring a touchdown in this game. Like you said, Marcus, it was ugly, but they did come out with a win. A win is a win. You could say positives about the defense, the offense. There's a lot of questions that still linger. Will Tyler Van Dyke be back this week for Florida State? I think Miami has something good going for them with Henry Parrish. Another 100-yard performance, his 3rd of the season. But Marcus, what's your take?
Well, Virginia's not a good team, man. Virginia's just that they're not a good team, and Miami got by a bad team on the road in the ACC. So credit to the Miami Hurricanes for pulling out the victory. However, Virginia, they're not world beaters. They're at the bottom of the ACC. Let's just be honest about it and call a spade a spade. Jake Garcia struggled to move the ball through the air. Besides a couple of connections to Kobe Young, this was not a good game for Jake Garcia, although he had the game-winning touchdown, the game-winning score, I should say. But it was not a good game for Jake Garcia. He, was not the guy that you were hoping to see. He was playing not to lose this game, I thought. And that's exactly what happened. He played not to lose, and Miami did not lose. He played very conservatively. Credit to him for not turning the ball over. So I give him credit for that. But other than that, he, didn't really do anything to excite myself or any Hurricanes fans around the world. And it's concerning because we're going into Florida State week now, and you are hoping that TVD is ready to go for this game, because from what I saw from Jake Garcia, it was very, very underwhelming. But like you said, the defense came through, man. The defense stepped up big time. Now, again, Virginia, not a good team. They're at the bottom of the ACC, just like Miami's other ACC win against Virginia Tech. These are teams that probably not going to make a bowl game this season. So happy to get a win. It would have been extremely devastating if the Hurricanes lost to Virginia on Saturday, but they were able to pull it out. Virginia missed some opportunities, and I noted this in my takeaways piece. They just missed some opportunities to really score points in this game. There was a drop touchdown on a 4th down. The receiver, after a big gain, tripped over his feet before going into the end zone. They had their opportunities. And the other takeaway, too, is that Miami still can't stop the QB run for some reason. You knew that last week with Duke. You knew that this week with Virginia. Yet you still can't stop the QB run on critical 3rd downs. That was kind of the most frustrating thing for me to see on defense. But overall, the defense played really well. Leonard Taylor set the world on fire, and so did Mitchell Agude. I have to shout him out as well. He had a big game, and he's a guy who I thought was going to eventually be the starter, and he finally got the start yesterday, and he, really showed why Miami was so high on him. The transfer from UCLA. So great game from Mitchell Agude, but this was a game that was a sight for sore eyes, man. Until overtime. It was fun to watch in overtime. It was fun to watch at the end of the game. Those late game situations with Jake Garcia and Gaddis. I feel like Gaddis doesn't trust Garcia, and we need TVD back if we want to be assured of a competitive game against FSU this week.
Yeah, just to double back on the defense again, and just speaking about the secondary, it's been a lot of ups and downs with that defensive backfield this season. I feel a little more concerned with the cornerback position moving forward. Not as much with the safeties. They have their moments too, where there's some lows and highs, but a lot of head-scratching moments between the cornerbacks. I do have to credit, though, Tyrique Stevenson. I feel he has been playing some of his best football at Miami. At least these past 2 weeks, he's been playing very good.
Yeah, definitely his last 2 games for sure.
Yeah. Cameron Kinchens, though, he did have that one missed tackle that I was just like, whoa, Cam, come on. But, sometimes you have to it's kind of the saying of it's a kind of give and take. And it was a lot of give from him, one take there. But, that pass deflection breakup in overtime, another pass deflection breakup he had on a red zone drive from the Cavaliers, I felt Cameron Kinchens had a pretty good game as well. But, I totally agree with you in terms of the offense, though, with Jake Garcia. He did not look comfortable. Didn't seem like they really trusted him to throw the ball downfield as much, even though I've had my questions about how much Miami really is trying to throw the ball down the field just throughout the season. But it seemed like little to no shots, at least in yesterday's game. So the offensive line, that's the main thing I want to touch on here. I liked what I saw from Inez Cooper. When was the last time you've seen an offensive lineman, and not only that, a freshman offensive lineman blocking guys downfield once he gets to the second level?
I would say the last time is probably Navon Donaldson. It's probably the last time. So yeah, man, he was a bright spot, and he was a surprise start too. Like, there were a couple of surprise starts in this game, Gio. Like, I mean, hopefully we'll get some more information from Monday's press conference, but there was a lot of absent players, like this team is really hurting when it comes to depth. And that's not necessarily fault of this Cristobal staff. It's kind of a fault of the Diaz staff of really not stocking up with players over the years, because you'd lose one or two guys. I mean, just to see Ryan Rangone out there, I was just like, I can't believe this guy is out there. Like that's how bad the depth is, especially at linebacker. So Keontre Smith didn't play in this game. And Caleb Johnson played for the most part with Corey Flagg. But Wesley Toussaint got hurt in this game. No James Williams in this one. Akeem Mesidor gets hurt in this one. And then Jalen Knighton and Thad Franklin were basically no-shows. But the one bright spot was X coming back. Our boy Xavier Restrepo back in the game. But Miami's got considerable issues when it comes to depth.
Yeah, just a little injury update there. I don't know if this has been put out there yet or not. At least to my recollection, I haven't seen this out there by any publication. I have been told that Chase Smith, the sophomore linebacker, he is actually going to be out for an extended period of time with an injury. So it doesn't seem like he'll be coming back this season, actually.
Wow. That sucks, man. Hopefully Wesley Toussaint is okay. Cristobal after the game said that he's probably okay. James Williams was a game time decision going into it, and I'm pretty sure he'll be back for Florida State. But the real question, Gio, is Tyler Van Dyke coming back for this Florida State game?
That is a very good question, and I had a very important phone call that came in last night from a source. There is growing confidence, at least internally right now, that Tyler Van Dyke could play next Saturday. That was eye-opening news to me as well. I was hearing Georgia Tech week before. Seems like that has moved up a bit. I know he was in a sling during this past week heading into this Virginia game. Really didn't practice at all last week. So maybe is it wishful thinking? We'll see. I'm waiting to confirm that more. I'm going to find out exactly what's going on at practice this week. See if TVD gives a swing at it this week. But I do think Miami needs him to have a real shot in this Florida State.
Oh yeah, based on what we saw Saturday, Gio, from our guy Jake Garcia, he is desperately needed at this point, just to push the ball down the field. I mean, you can be checked down Jake all day, but that's not going to work against Florida State. I mean, Florida State is. They're not world beaters, but they pulled out some decent wins. They opened up the season with a win over LSU. LSU is a decent team right now, so it's not like they're terrible. So Florida State looked pretty good against Georgia Tech, although Georgia Tech doesn't have their quarterback now, so they're a little, maybe a shell of what they used to be from earlier in the season. But it's going to be a challenging game, man. It's going to be a challenging game. It's going to be, it's Miami FSU, though. Miami FSU it's my favorite time of the year, man. It's really, to me, the best rivalry in college football. Obviously, I'm biased saying that, but, Miami FSU, needs no introduction. It's one of the premier games of all sports every year, no matter the record, and it's usually a thrilling game every season. Last year was a one that came down to the wire, and it's in prime time too. So I'm excited for it. Excited for Miami, because this game will, to me, ultimately determine if they are going to a bowl game or not. If they win, I'm fully confident that they will be going bowling. If they lose, I'm almost as fully confident that they will not be going bowling. uh, so so yeah, big game, obviously. Your initial thoughts going into FSU week?
It's like Christmas. It's Christmas week for me. College football season, Miami FSU. Maybe not the same type of meaning that it has had in many years past, but again, it's still, like you said, it still is one of the best, at least arguably, rivalries in just all of sports. Um, what will be exciting is that atmosphere, at least for recruits. That stadium is going to be jumping because anytime Florida State comes to town or Miami heads to Tallahassee, it's a packed out stadium. So I would like to see how the team plays in an environment now with a packed out stadium, fans screaming, you can barely hear. I want to see how this team plays in that type of environment because it seemed like when they went to College Station, it seemed like they were ready for that type of environment. So it's a little interesting dynamic there. I know I'm just talking about environment here, but it does matter to an extent. Now, in regards to that game, it's a great moment, at least for recruiting. There are, at least from what I've compiled and what I've been told recently, expect 40 plus, upwards of 40 plus.
Wow.
4 to 5 star prospects to be in attendance.
40 plus 4 to 5 stars?
Yes. Some of those will be like, just future blue chip guys that, we have on the database, like some of the 2025 guys that may not be ranked yet, but are obvious guys that will be, blue chip status. Some of those will be there too. It's roughly around that ballpark that we're looking at. It's going to be a big weekend. That recruiting pavilion is going to be packed out. If Miami wins, that after sort of party over there, it's going to be pretty good for the coaches. But there's big names showing up too. We're gonna have just an early peek at that. We're looking at some time for release on that, maybe today or tomorrow on the site. So anyone watching this, stay on the lookout for that. But Marcus, anything else you want to add?
Oh, as far as recruiting is concerned, yeah, it's huge, man. It is going to be huge. I've heard some names as well. As far as I've heard, actually, a repeat visitor from the Duke game is actually coming back. I'm not going to say who he is, but he committed to an ACC school. Let's just say that, and it could be making his way back to Miami. So. Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. It's Florida State, it's Miami, the Noles versus the Canes. I'm excited. But I do want to double back a little bit, Gio, because there was some, news that you broke about certain running back on the team possibly thinking about transferring out. And then we didn't see, like I said, we didn't see Thad Franklin, and we didn't see Jalen Knighton at all see the field on Saturday. It was all about Henry Parrish, who I have to shout him out if we didn't already, but Henry Parrish had a monster game, over 100 yards, gave you everything that he had with every carry. And that's what you want from your running back. I mean, he almost literally carried this team to victory, because without him on that final drive, I don't think Miami even gets this win. Also, shout out to Andy Borregales as well for hitting 4 for 4 field goals. Lou Headley with his punts. I think he had 10 or 11 punts on the day, something in that nature. Or no, there was actually a total of that many for both teams. I have to go back to the stats.
8 punts for 308 yards. I remember I tweeted that.
So he had 8 punts. That's right. So yeah, so he was solid. Just got to shout him out as well, um, per usual. But yeah, so back to the running back situation, Gio. I mean, what are you hearing on the running backs, and why did we only see Henry Parrish and Lucius Stanley are the only backs that carried the rock against Virginia?
Yeah, well, it's a mix between intake of coaching from certain players, and the other aspect there is also injuries as well. It's a mix of both. Miami is expected to get back Don Chaney Jr. Sometime between this week and Georgia Tech week. That was what was said before. If that will happen, we'll see. We've seen a situation this year with Zion Nelson at left tackle. Just being told every week he's a game time decision. Um, we've gone through 8 games and Zion Nelson has barely played. So it'll be an interesting thing to see with Don Chaney when he returns. It seems to me that it's understandably Jalen Knighton's role has diminished. Just with fumbling issues. That is never a good thing on the football field. You never want to turn over the ball, and especially at the percentage rate that he has done this season, it's definitely alarming. Thad Franklin, his role has diminished in the last few games. Yes, you're correct about that. He is actually healthy, Thad Franklin. So it's a bit of a surprise to me a bit. Last game that he played in was that Virginia Tech game. It's just don't want to give too much away here, but it's going to be an interesting situation going forward.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, I'm actually a little disappointed that these two guys are not, not showing up. I mean, they're as in they're not in the games or they're not producing. I'm a little disappointed at that because obviously these are kids that, we've watched very closely throughout their high school career since they were basically babies, and both of which were excelling at a very high rate at a young age in high school. So we got to see them a lot throughout their high school careers, and when they decided to commit to Miami, it kind of built up even more excitement. So you couldn't wait to see what they would do. And they both shown flashes here and there, but not living up to what they did in high school by any extent. And it's disappointing. I mean, we saw some flashes from Rooster last season, but he's been a no-show pretty much this entire season, except for like some moments against Texas A&M were kind of it, but other than that it's really been lowlights from Rooster with the fumbles, and that is just not getting a run literally. It's a little baffling to me because I think he would serve as the power back that Miami needs. But it seems like that's what you'll have with Lucius Stanley because he gave you a couple of carries in between the tackles. And then I also like what I saw from Ja'Cory Brown, not to get off the subject a little bit, but Ja'Cory Brown running the football is something I want to see more.
Yeah.
I mean, like, can we just get him the ball more? Like, in when he gets in the game, it's almost a little obvious of what he's going to do. It's like either zone read, he's pulling it, or it's just a straight up QB draw. I want to see a little bit more creativity with when he is inserted into the game. And maybe just kind of get him going with some short passes. I mean, we did see him throw a pass finally in this game. So
yeah, he had attempted 3.
Yeah. Yeah, so I want to see more Ja'Cory Brown, but yeah, a disappointing situation with Thad Franklin and Jalen Knighton. I don't know what the future holds for them, but I hope they stay on the team. I hope they can contribute in some way. But more to come from KingsCounty.com as we'll continue to, give you more information on that situation.
Yeah, we'll see. Heading close to December, there will be departures. Obviously, I don't want to single out any players' names on the podcast or whatnot, but there's been quite a few names tossed out to me from the source. In terms of running back, just moving forward, expect for Miami to push very hard to close with 2 running backs from the high school ranks, and they do want to take 1 transfer portal running back. So that is their plan moving forward.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. I did hear that, things have kind of cooled a little bit with Christopher Johnson. Um, that's a guy that's still on their radar, but from what I hear, since there's been kind of a back off on his end, then Miami's kind of doing the same thing. It's like when you're dating, like if
Yeah, feeling them out.
yeah, if girls kind of backing off or they're not, really returning your text, there's no reason to kind of keep pushing because it seems like the interest may be somewhere else. But that's what I'm hearing. Hopefully they do close with a running back. I'm pretty sure they will. But still sitting at 0 running backs right now. But one thing we do have to comment on, man, like I just, because it was just kind of random news that came out of nowhere, which is Caleb Spencer committing to Miami, flipping from Oklahoma to Miami in literally a span of, just a moment. This was Friday night, which is kind of weird. One, because most high school players are playing on a Friday night. You usually don't expect a commitment to happen on Friday night. So it was out of left field. But, we reported on CanesCounty.com that Caleb Spencer had visited and he's interested in Miami. We were really the first ones to really kind of, bring that story to light. And it just kind of grew into what it is now, as far as him committing to Miami. There is a film review on CanesCounty.com, which you can see highlights from him. He's a physical safety. Seems very savvy when it comes to football acumen, and finally got a safety on the board too. So these kids are buying what Cristobal is selling. I do want to make that point. Cristobal and his staff is really doing a great job of selling the vision of this program, because obviously it's not looking good on the field. We all have eyes. We all see what's going on here. This is a 6-6 team to me, or 7-5 at best team. And for them to be where they are right now, 7th in the country, definitely the highest ranked team when it comes to recruiting, with the worst record.
Yeah.
And they are still doing what they do. So great to see Caleb Spencer. I think before the week, I don't think we were like, yeah, we're gonna get to commits this week with Cormani McClain and Caleb Spencer.
Oh, I heard rumblings after the Cormani commitment. I just wasn't expecting Caleb Spencer to make a decision so soon. A little background on that recruitment as well, and just in general, and this may excite some Canes fans. Mario Cristobal and his coaching staff, the way they are approaching recruiting, they don't care if a prospect is committed to another school, if they're leaning to another school. They will go after them if they deem that they are a take for the University of Miami. Now, on the flip side, a lot of secretive recruiting going on Miami's end. There's a lot of prospects that are in play that Miami's not really pushing out there, and we've gotten word back on some of these, and we've seen it too. And we've respected their decisions. They've said, just don't put anything out yet. It's going to be exciting moving forward because there is more names that people may not be aware of yet, or people may be aware of, but they don't even know that Miami is still recruiting them. There is some big names. There will also be a few flips, I was told, coming down the stretch to early signing day. I was told last night. So it's going to be interesting watching from now.
Can you tease like a little bit more like what those flips are going to be? You don't have to give it away, but can you give the fans a little bit more on who could possibly flip to Miami?
There's an offensive flip coming, from what I was told, and I think
is it local?
What happened?
Is it local?
Oh, I think that would give it away too much.
No, there's a lot of local kids that could be possibly flipped. So
yeah,
it's
local. It's local.
Okay.
But in terms of surprises and stuff, I don't know if I would even classify Samson Okunlola as a surprise for Miami anymore.
No, I wouldn't say that's a surprise. That's kind of the only commit for me that I think we're just kind of waiting on it to happen. Everything else I think is kind of speculation, or you don't quite know. But I think that's the one that I think everybody can probably, bet some money on would happen.
Oh, and just to put some rumors to bed, because I've seen this running around on Twitter from Gator Twitter, and just even Canes fans and whatnot. This is in terms of two of Miami's commits that I've seen people saying, oh my God, they're going to flip to UF, or just, guys like Uncle Silk on Gator Twitter saying, oh yeah, we're about to flip some Miami stuff. No, that's not going to happen. So Canes fans, you can calm down. Jaden Rashada is not leaving Miami's class. He is locked in. And Malik Bryan is also locked in with Miami's class. So you can breathe a sigh of relief moving forward.
That sounds good, man. That sounds good. I mean, the fact that's another thing too, because in this day and age, these kids, they flip more than gymnastics athletes. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that one of these kids could flip. But I am hearing that one of the tight ends, Miami could be possibly backing off. I'm not going to say who, but one of the 3 tight ends that Miami has committed to the class, I hear Miami could be possibly, backing off. But we'll see how it all plays out. But that's what I'm hearing from a couple of different sources, not just one. So we'll see how that plays out. That's probably the only one that Miami may potentially lose from the class. But all of the other kids, they seem pretty locked in to this class.
All right. I think we covered just about every base.
Yeah.
That's a
wrap. Absolutely.
Storm Tracker podcast today.
Yep, it's a wrap on that. FSU week, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. Until the next episode.